Hi there. I'm your host, Britt, and I'm so grateful you've discovered the Loving Your Own Soul podcast. Together, we will embark on a mindful exploration to living a more fluid life through a deeper connection to the soul. My intention is to provide expansion and inspiration so that you can embody the highest expression of your true potential while creating more beauty in the ever-changing world around us. I hope you've arrived here with an open mind and an eager heart to receive all that resonates while leaving behind everything else. If you're feeling ready, let's get into it. Feeling good is the ultimate goal and can often feel like a trivial aspiration at times. A desire to feel good is simple on the surface, yet carries immense depth within. And a belief that feeling good is possible is what quietly leads the way at all times. Wellness leader Melissa Wood Tepperberg is known for consistently showing up with her motto, "How bad do you want to feel good?" as her guiding light. It has since inspired hundreds throughout social media, and as someone who frequents her mindful Pilates yogic-inspired flows, I often can hear her voice ringing throughout my head too. How bad do you want to feel good? Stepping into motherhood and navigating the early postpartum waters of suddenly having another being directly dependent on me has been deeply beautiful and equally challenging. I sit with both high stress and deep gratitude simultaneously all of the time. It's been revolutionary in so many ways and one of the greatest forms of self-discovery. Through the transition of becoming a mother, I had to quickly readjust and learn what it meant to have a tiny creature dependent upon you 24/7. I mean, literally, we mothers as females are these babies' lifelines. Without us for the initial period of their human experience, they would not survive. In fact, us humans are one of the few mammals who give birth to a being so dependent on the mother that they literally would not survive without her for that initial period of time. Now, as someone who is fiercely independent and absolutely loves and relies on alone time to feel nourished, my world got totally rocked upon suddenly finding myself home with this sweet newborn baby for the first time in my life. Now, my experience to feeling like my world was rocked is not to say that I do not deeply appreciate the gift of becoming a mother. I've never felt more grateful in my life, and as someone who has experienced a loss herself, my heart goes out to anyone who has not been able to experience this or has had this taken away from them. In no shape or form do I take the complexity of talking about pregnancy, motherhood, and children lightly. It's a profound and deeply layered topic. And for me, in my own experience along this journey, it's also been the most satisfying adventure, while still the most perplexing thing I could have ever guessed it would be. My experience also has absolutely nothing to do with my little girl, who she is, her ways of being, any future children, how she is. I mean, absolutely nothing. This child in particular, she is absolutely the best form of human perfection to ever be created. What I'm speaking to and what I'm going to share is simply my experience through the transition. What the transition into motherhood brought up for me, what childhood pain points needed to be healed, trigger points, hormonal hurricanes, as I'll call them, mental and emotional stimulation, nervous system dysregulation. There's so much, but I just want to make it clear that my experience finding motherhood to be beautiful, yet deeply challenging, has everything to do with me and absolutely nothing to do with my wonderful children. So, in the wonderful, blissful, snuggly, and quite magical newborn bubble also came with the experience of learning how to soothe a crying baby, being exhausted from childbirth and getting woken up every couple hours to have this little creature nurse on me, witnessing hormones course through my body at a rate faster than I've ever experienced. I mean, being with and bearing witness to one's own emotional and mental highs and lows in this experience is no small task. I witnessed myself suddenly become extremely agitated by the crying baby in the backseat of my car, who, the poor thing, was feeling lonely and scared back there by herself. And while logically, of course, I should feel sympathetic towards her as my baby, in reality, I was pissed. I was frustrated. She was safe, fed, deeply loved, and I needed to get out of the house. I needed to get out of the house. I needed for my own sanity to go run errands together, to go to a nearby waterfront park, to go meet up with a new mom friend. And her cries in the back seat brought up this deep rage within me that I'd never felt before. It was like, ew, 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 ew. I remember thinking, like, what is this inside of me? Where is this rage coming from? Who is this version of me? This is not how I viewed myself as a mother. This isn't my truth. This isn't the calm, centered, open-hearted person I knew myself to be. I mean, after all, this poor baby is adjusting to the wild world. She's simply not feeling the current situation and is asking for my help. And instead of feeling concerned or sensitive towards my own baby, I was pissed. Like, what the hell is wrong with me? And then there would be the day where I needed a break. I desperately needed a break from it all. It was quickly dawning on me that I hadn't had a moment of alone time in days or hours. I was feeling highly touched out from holding, rocking, nursing, and sleeping with this tiny little creature day in and day out, to then tend to my dogs once I got a free moment, to then try and find intimacy with my sweet partner when he'd be home from work or with us on the weekends. But where was my alone time? I thought I'd erupt from the inside out if I had to be touched or in physical contact with one more being. I remember so clearly thinking about this as I was attempting to use the bathroom alone after just putting my baby down for a nap. And then suddenly, in the quiet bathroom, I hear her faint crying in the background, and the cries get louder. And I just erupt from the inside out like, no, 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 no. Go back to sleep. Do not do this. I just put you down 5 minutes ago, and your last 2 naps, you were in my arms. I need a break. I need more time without you. Please go back to sleep. And instead, her cries got louder and louder. Fuck. I would just scream inside as I threw my hands up in the air and frantically rushed into the next room to go get her. And then again, the guilt would just flood through my body. What the hell is wrong with me? She is my baby. She needs me. She is a baby. She's a baby. She came into this world a few weeks ago and is still adjusting. I am a monster. I feel like a monster. And this was also the same way I'd feel at 2 a.m. in the morning when I was standing up, rocking her, trying to get her to go back to sleep in her bassinet next to our bed after we just finished nursing. I knew she was full. I knew she was sleepy. Why was she fighting sleep so hard? Doesn't she know it's 2 in the morning? And in order for me to function as a happy, present mom to her, I need to sleep. I rely on sleep. I'm an 8-hour sleeper without a doubt. Sleep is my medicine. And then not to mention my husband sleeping away on his side of the bed, just sleeping, looking so relaxed next to our 2 dogs who are also sleeping. And the thoughts would begin just like that. Everyone gets to sleep except me. What the actual fuck? This isn't fair. I hate this. I can't do this. Why did we have this baby? I can't do this. I'm not cut out for this. I want to punch Dan in the face. Why can't he be the one up with this baby in the middle of the night? Why me? I thought there would be way more shared responsibilities as parents in this modern world. Will I ever sleep again? When will this baby wake up again? Am I even going to get to sleep tonight? How many hours till the morning? Literally, screw Dan and his sleeping self. And why the hell did no one prepare me for this? This is bullshit. And then more guilt, more questioning. Why would these experiences suddenly turn me into such a monster? What was wrong with me? Who is this person? This isn't me. I'm not like this. I hate being this way. Sage doesn't deserve this. She's a baby, a literal baby doing nothing wrong. She's being a baby, and yet the ways of a baby are sending me into a dark downward spiral at random times. Why can I be cool sometimes and other times I just explode inside? Why do I feel like I'm losing control of myself? And this would happen. Not every time, but every now and again. Some days or nights were worse than others, and it was so scary. It was shameful, and at the time, I was too scared to share this in fear I was the only person who felt this way. I would question if I was even a good mom because of it. It was so hard. So, if you are listening to this right now, and you've been here too, or maybe are here right now, I want you to know that I see you and I honor your experience, and you are not alone. You are never alone. But for me, I did know one thing was for sure certain. My current reality wasn't changing. Sage wasn't going anywhere. I was in this and there was no turning back. I could only go forward. The only way out is through. There is no end in sight for another 18 years. And I'm responsible for me. I am responsible for me. I can choose who I am and how I act or react. I needed to shift myself. I needed to shift my mindset. Just as the beautiful serenity prayer goes, please grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. I needed to do whatever it would take to feel good again. I knew I could do this motherhood thing. I knew I was meant for this. I knew I was built for this. What did I need to do to feel good? How do I find ways to feel good when I feel like I have zero time to even pee? Shoot. I mean, there are some days where I'm sitting on the toilet with my baby tied onto me in her Solly baby wrap while I'm using the bathroom. And then just like that, I remembered that I'm crafty. I'm resilient, and I knew I could get back to me, the real me, my truth. I knew I could feel good again. I deserved to feel good all the time, and I believed that I could feel good again. I believed it. I believed in me. And at the end of the day, I decided to choose me. And hearing Melissa Wood Tepperberg in my head once again, how bad do you want to feel good? I pursued a path. I opened up my wellness toolbox, asking my intuition to point me in the direction that would start bringing me back home. And the first step on this journey was meditation. Well, actually, the first step on this journey was disconnecting from anything that was causing me to compare my situation to that of others, i.e., social media, you guessed it. So I deleted my apps. I said goodbye to the world of mindless scrolling at 3 a.m. And while there were times I brought back social media here and there, I can say I've actually detoxed myself from social media for the later part of 2022 and into the earlier part of 2023, and it has been great. It has been truly life-changing, and I highly recommend giving it a shot, especially if you are possibly prone to anxiety or depression. Get off the apps, delete them from your phone, and say goodbye until further notice. Step number 1 to feeling good, remove anything from your life that is causing you to disconnect from you, that is causing you to compare your experience to a snapshot of someone else's, for no one's journey is the same. And typically this comes from social media. So if you find yourself death scrolling and feeling the luster of life fading each and every day, get off social media. The fake high it gives you before it then slams you into the ground is not worth it. Leave it behind until you feel good again, and then just bring it back in a way that works for you. Which brings me to my next step to feeling good. Step number 2, meditation. Now, this word may feel intimidating to some, and that's totally valid, yet it doesn't need to. You can think of meditation as simply connecting to your breath. We can even do it right now. If you're not driving, close your eyes and just start inhaling and exhaling slowly. Breathing in and breathing out. There you go. Congratulations. You are doing a form of meditation. Now, there are various forms of meditation and ways to meditate, but for me, in the moment, I just needed to calm the mind. I needed something to relax my nervous system, come back into a state of balance. I needed to breathe. I needed peace. And I didn't just want to sit with my thoughts. Hell no. That was a big no. My thoughts were a scary place to be. Instead, I needed guidance. I needed a loving message and something to focus on. Background music for sure, but definitely just guidance from a trusted source. So, my supportive tool that really started bringing me out of the darkness was meditation, guided meditation. And I needed a radical shift. I had recently learned, of course, that I was capable of now pushing out a 9-pound, 9-ounce human out of my body, and also used to practice meditation on a daily basis at a different point in my life. Clearly, I probably was capable of committing to a 5-day meditation practice, right? Every single day for 5 days, no excuses. I knew I could do this. I just had to do it. Now, the trick here, of course, was where would I find the time? What was the one window of opportunity I could find? A window of uninterrupted time I knew I could depend on. Sure, of course, I could try meditating while breastfeeding. I had already played around with that actually, and it was nice, but I still had a baby in my arms. I needed my own space, my own time, my own separate experience. And I needed this because I knew if I could fill myself up with one simple tool, I could then better show up in the world around me. I could show up as a more present mom, wife, friend, individual. I could better show up in my truth. I love mornings. I always have. I'm a morning person through and through. I'd rather wake up at 3 a.m. and be dead asleep by 8 p.m. than to be up until midnight and sleeping till 9 a.m. Late nights are not my vibe. Early mornings are my jam. And I'd recently learned through motherhood that I could actually function off 5 to 6 hours of sleep, something I never previously thought possible. So I figured, let's try something out. Let's get creative. I have nothing else to lose at this point. For some background context for you listening right now, typically Sage would wake sometime after 1 a.m. We'd nurse, and then she'd go back to sleep within, we'll call it 60 to 90 minutes from there. She'd sleep for another solid 2 hours, maybe more, usually. But again, this was the most predictable thing in my life at that time. So my thought was, what if I didn't get back into bed once she was back asleep and I went and meditated instead? All I had to do was go meditate, and then I could do whatever I wanted after that. Even get back into that inviting warm bed that was always staring back at me. Why not? Why not try it, right? Again, nothing to lose at this point. I figured let's go for 5 days consistently and see what happens. So I did it. And I found my own place of solitude in the wee hours of the morning, and I loved it. Now, don't get me wrong. Of course, the idea of climbing back into my overly comfortable bed looked inviting every single time I put Sage back down in her bassinet. But I kept repeating to myself, how bad do you want to feel good? How bad do I want to feel good? And I wanted it more than anything in the world. I needed it. It was my new lifeline. So 5 days of daily meditation went by, and I went for 10. And then 10 days turned into 15, turned into 30, turned into 45. You get the picture. Did every day of meditation happen at 3 a.m.? No, because that's life and life with a baby. But I will tell you that 80% of them did. And the other 20% I'd sneak in during Sage's nap time. Sometimes, sure, with her on me, sometimes in the backseat of my car, wherever I could do it. The consistent thing was that I needed a guided meditation practice, a practice that could look like 7 minutes, 10 minutes, or even 30 minutes. Whatever amount of time my intuition guided me towards, I followed it. And it worked. I started feeling good again. I started feeling more balanced, more whole, more in control of my emotions and thought patterns. I felt like I could emotionally regulate myself again. I felt more present, a deeper sense of gratitude and connection. I felt like I had something to look forward to that was mine, outside of the joys of motherhood and the newborn baby bubble I'd intentionally created for myself, of course, but this was mine. And on top of it, my daily meditation practice turned into realigning my connection to myself through journaling. I started adding some yoga and Pilates and work on my pelvic floor, additional wellness tools like breath work and cold exposure. I was finding solace in the tools that had at one point been key elements to the foundation of my own spiritual wellness journey. I was feeling like me again, but the new me. the me with a new label, and this lasted for a good bit of time. I was feeling good, feeling better for a solid few weeks until I was hit with a new mountain to climb, a new threshold of hormone surges, the reality that returning back to work 12 weeks after birth actually wasn't a possibility, the reality that we lived in a place with zero family or friends in relative distance, the reality that other people seemed to be living freer lives than me, the reality that safe and reliable childcare was non existent in our area, the reality that the honeymoon phase seemed to be fading, the reality that postpartum depression and anxiety may not be so far off in the distance after all, and the reality that my current reality wasn't how I'd envisioned my motherhood journey. And I knew that I needed more help than just a social media cleanse and a daily meditation practice. I needed personal support. So, step number 3 to feeling good, find support. Call in support and take a holistic, all hands on deck approach where possible. For me, this looked like starting back up in talk therapy and working with a spiritual mentor. I knew I needed the initial support of a trained mental health professional to hold my hand through the darkness I was facing, and I knew I needed a spiritual perspective. I needed to go deep. The therapeutic support was a great jumping off point and deeply served me, and I still needed the spiritual connection. I didn't want to just talk through what I was experiencing and feeling, although it was so nourishing and provided so much solidarity. I recommend it to everybody. But I also wanted to go into the layers of the subconscious, work with the Akashic records, commune with my spirit team again, and take a full picture approach to my healing. I knew I needed an all hands on deck approach. Meditation was no longer cutting it. It was still highly supportive and brought me to a place of having the awareness to know when it was time for the next thing. I didn't stop meditating. Each tool really just added on to the next. I do feel that is really important to note, as meditation aided me in getting to the next phase of healing in this journey. And that's where step number 3 came in: personalized one-on-one support. My meditation practice brought me to the place of not only recognizing the need, but also taking action to get help outside myself. I needed community. I needed to feel held in a personal, confidential, highly supportive, and sacred container. And it needed to come from a professional lens. Yes, there have been several friends and those close to me whom I trusted in supreme confidentiality during this time, but I needed the professional support as well. I mean, really, just in my extremely raw and vulnerable state, the idea of possibly feeling invalidated by my current experience could have been highly detrimental. Having a trusted source to work with was huge for me. I was able to receive support in ways I couldn't have done so on my own. And also, I didn't need to be relying on personal life connections to help me through this. Those in my personal circle were so helpful, and it wasn't their responsibility to ride this out with me. The professional one-on-one support was so necessary and deeply rewarding on all accounts. I moved through so much in a very short amount of time, which is why I feel so much more grounded and clear right here, right now, in this moment with you. Now, I'm not going to share the details of the last few months, for I'm still really moving, integrating, and embodying the work that I've been doing. It's been an ongoing process, plus a lot of this feels like it's meant to be private to me. But I will tell you that through this very specific 3-step approach to feeling good, I feel great and I feel alive again. I feel whole. I feel like me, the sparkliest, brightest version of me, the true me beneath all the labels and the layers, the soul of me, the me my soul knows to be in the highest version of truth, the me that my girl Sage chose as her mother. Now, what do I take away from all this and hope to leave with you? It's really quite simple. When you have an intention to feel good and you know this is a deep, soulful desire that you wholeheartedly believe in, you will get there. I got there. You can get there too. And if your journey is similar to mine at all, feel free to experiment with my own process of reconnecting through getting offline, daily meditation, and personalized one-on-one support. And don't get me wrong, it took work. It has not been easy, but I got there, and I know you can too. I know that you can feel good again. And with that, I just encourage you to take a deep breath if you're a mom or just someone who feels like they are juggling the world right now. And remember that you are doing a great job. You are you, and no one else can move through life like you. It's okay for your journey to look different than that of others. It's okay to normalize the not so shiny moments of this human experience. In fact, I really encourage you to love and normalize all parts of you and to always remember to celebrate how far you've come. You are doing great. You were made for this. And if you're doubting your ability to ever feel good again, you will, because I once doubted it too. I hope you enjoyed this loving your own soul conversation and are now feeling an internal sense of inspiration and expansion. I encourage you to go take action on one simple thing that will not only better yourself, but also the world around you today. I'd love for you to follow me on Instagram and TikTok at @Britt, and I cannot wait to see you embody the highest expression of your own true potential. Now, one last thing before you go. Please don't forget to check out the show notes for special discounts on some of my favorite and well-trusted products that will serve you well in all areas of your life. And if you want to continue learning and connecting together, be sure to check out my website, thebrittolson.com. Plus, if you feel called, I'd love for you to rate and review the show, whether on Apple Podcasts or by sending me a DM on Instagram to let me know your thoughts. Once again, you can reach me at @BrittOlson on Instagram, and exchange for your feedback or review, I'd love to send you my free ebook to making simple, modern smoothies that your mind and body will love. Plus, I will also include a special energy healing meditation. All you have to do is simply leave a review on Apple Podcasts or Spotify and screenshot it to send to me, and or directly message me your feedback at @BrittOlson on Insta. Thank you again for tuning in. Thank you for you, and I hope you have a beautiful day.